All right, let's dive into something that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. We're going to talk about how the simplest, most common element in the entire universe, hydrogen, is being turned into a super precise medical tool, all thanks to some incredible nanotechnology.
So that brings up a really big question, right? Could the simplest element out there actually solve our most complex diseases? We think of hydrogen as what fuels the sun, but what if it could also fuel a revolution in how we treat things like cancer? It sounds a little crazy, but the science behind it is just fascinating.
So first up, let's talk about our main character here, hydrogen. And I'm not talking about the hydrogen you'd find in a rocket engine. We're talking about hydrogen gas as a surprisingly powerful medicine that's, believe it or not, been hiding in plain sight for a long, long time. Now, this idea didn't just pop out of nowhere. The story actually goes all the way back to 1975, when a study showed that hydrogen gas could shrink tumors in mice. Wild, right? But the whole field of gas therapy really took off in 1998 after a Nobel Prize was awarded for work on nitric oxide. That proved that, yes, gases can be serious medicine. But for hydrogen, the big moment was 2007. That's when a huge paper came out that finally explained how it works as something called a selective antioxidant. And the list of what it can do is pretty incredible. It's an antioxidant, it's anti-inflammatory, it can help prevent cells from dying when they shouldn't, and it even has anti-tumor effects. But here's what's really amazing. It's so incredibly tiny that it can get into places most drugs can't, like deep inside our cells or even across the blood-brain barrier. And the best part, when it's done its job, the only thing left over is water. So let's get back to that key phrase, selective antioxidant. See, our bodies have all these different reactive molecules called free radicals. Some of them are really bad guys that cause a lot of damage, but some are actually useful. They help our cells talk to each other. Hydrogen is like a tiny super spy. It goes in and only takes out the most dangerous villains, like the hydroxyl radical, while leaving the good guys completely alone. That precision is its superpower. Okay, so if hydrogen is this amazing, you've got to be wondering, why isn't it in every hospital already? Well, it all comes down to one massive hurdle, a delivery problem. So the old school ways of getting hydrogen into the body are pretty blunt. You can breathe it in, you can drink hydrogen-infused water, or you can get it injected. But all of these methods just flood your entire system.
And that's the big flaw. As the researchers in Cells put it, you just can't control where the gas goes. It's like trying to water one little flower in your garden with a giant fire hose. It's messy, it's inefficient, and most of it just doesn't get where you need it to go.
And here's the heart of that challenge. To really go after something like a tumor, you need a really high, really steady concentration of hydrogen right there at the site. But the amount you can safely deliver to your whole body by just, say, inhaling it, it's just a tiny fraction of that. There's this huge gap between what you need and what the old methods can give you. So how do you bridge that gap? Well, this is where the hero of our story finally comes in. The solution to this big delivery problem comes from the world of the very, very small, nanotechnology. This is the absolute game changer. Using these materials that are thousands of times smaller than one of your hairs, scientists can basically build these tiny, sophisticated delivery systems to get hydrogen exactly where it needs to go. And, just as importantly, nowhere else. And they have two really clever ways of doing this. First, you've got nanocarriers. The best way to think of these is as preloaded delivery drones. They're tiny packages filled with hydrogen that travel right to the tumor and then drop off their cargo. The second approach is even cooler, nanogenerators. These are like tiny mobile medicine factories that you send to the tumor, and once they get a signal, they start manufacturing hydrogen gas right there on the spot. And here's where it gets really smart. These nanoparticles aren't just dumped in randomly. They are designed to respond to very specific triggers. Doctors can use things like light or ultrasound from outside the body to tell them, okay, release the gas now. Or, and this is so elegant, they can design them to be triggered by the tumor itself, like its naturally more acidic environment. So we have this incredible new delivery system. But what can you actually do with it? Well, it means we can start creating treatments that aren't just stronger, but way, way smarter by combining hydrogen with therapies we already have. Okay, check this out. There's a treatment called photothermal therapy, or PTT. Basically, you use nanoparticles that heat up when you shine a laser on them, and you cook the cancer cells to death. It works, but it has a nasty side effect. All that cell death creates a ton of inflammation, which can actually help the tumor grow back. This is where nano-delivered hydrogen creates this perfect synergistic solution.
Scientists have built a nanoparticle that does two jobs at once. First, the laser heats it up to kill the cancer cells. But second, that very same heat is also the trigger that tells the nanoparticle to release its hydrogen. So the hydrogen immediately gets to work calming down all that inflammation, which stops the tumor from making a comeback. It's this beautiful two-in-one punch.
And don't just take my word for it. The researchers who wrote this paper say this synergistic effect is highly promising for tumor treatment. It's all about making existing treatments better, safer, and more effective.
So with all this incredible potential on the table, where do we go from here? What does the future of this tech actually look like?
Well, the advantages of this nano approach are just crystal clear. You get targeted, sustained release of medicine exactly where you need it. You can design these particles to hang out in the body longer, giving them more time to work. And get this, some of them can even be tracked with ultrasound, so doctors could literally watch in real time as the medicine is being delivered.
When you put it all side by side, the difference is just night and day. We're moving away from a low-control, whole-body approach to something that's highly controlled, precise, and incredibly efficient. We're essentially trading in a sledgehammer for a microscopic scalpel, and that is unlocking hydrogen's true potential. And that leaves us with one final, really powerful thought. This is about so much more than just hydrogen. It's about a whole new way of thinking about medicine, one where we can program it. If we can build these tiny machines to deliver a simple gas with this kind of precision, just imagine what else we could program them to do. What other diseases, the ones we thought were unbeatable, might be next.